Hello, I'm John Wilgers, President and CEO of Greater Twin Cities United Way. Welcome to Changemaker Chats, a video series about passionate people working to transform our region into a community where all people thrive, regardless of their income, race, or place. So today's chat is going to be focused on 211. 211 is a resource helpline that's operated by Greater Twin Cities United Way, and we'll talk more about it this chat. But it seemed like a good time to talk about 211 because February 11th, 211, is 211 Day. And so we thought we'd take that as an opportunity to really showcase this work and one of our partners in this work. And so Wells Fargo has partnered with Greater Twin Cities United Way and 211 for the last 3 years. And we have a couple of firsts today. Wells Fargo is the first corporate partner to do a Changemaker Chat. And Wells Fargo is also the first partner or donor to restrict dollars to 211. And so having them come and talk about that and talk about why seemed obvious. So welcome to both of you. I'd like to give you both an opportunity to introduce yourselves, talk about your work, what you do. Patty, let's start with you. Welcome to Changemaker Chats.
Well, John, thank you for this opportunity this afternoon to chat with you and with James. So I'm Patty Pannkuk, as you said, and I work at Wells Fargo. And as part of my role at Wells Fargo, I actually lead the strategy for the Wells Fargo Foundation. And so, as you know, John, we've worked with Greater Twin Cities United Way for many, many years, and just happy that we're now able to support 211 directly.
James?
James Collins, 211 director. I oversee both our 211 program and our suicide prevention Lifeline. 211, broad-based social services information and referral program that started here in Minneapolis in 1948 and continuing strong. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's start with you, James. So tell us about 211 and in particular, be interested in hearing about some of the needs you saw in the area of housing in the Greater Twin Cities in 2020 and 2021.
When the pandemic started and when some of the initial public health measures were implemented, we saw a real spike in housing-related requests, right? Housing-related requests as people's hours were cut, as people's income was reduced, we saw folks struggling to pay their bills, and that included housing. And so over the course of 2020 and 2021, we saw really historic, I'll say, numbers related to both social services broadly, but housing in particular.
Okay, so Patty, what caused Wells Fargo to have this commitment to 211, and specifically, what does Wells Fargo do in the area specifically around housing, and how does that really fit with your mission?
Well, John, as you know, Wells Fargo has been a longstanding supporter of Greater Twin Cities United Way, both through our charitable giving and also through our community engagement through our employees and our leaders. Our missions are aligned when you think about the Wells Fargo Foundation and you think about Greater Twin Cities United Way, in the fact that we really want to bring together our communities to, build pathways to prosperity and equity for all. And so as you look at that, housing affordability is one of the focus areas that we have at the Wells Fargo Foundation. And a couple of years ago, we started thinking about our gift to Greater Twin Cities United Way, which is fairly significant, and the fact that we had always directed it to general operating expenses, and that had worked for many, many years. But as we stepped back from that, we were like, is there an opportunity for us to direct our funding or part of our funding to a program where we could make greater impact? And so I started doing work with Melissa Cadlick, our relationship manager, and other folks on your staff to just say, is there a program or a couple of programs at Greater Twin Cities United Way where we could really work together if we directed funding to make deeper impact? And she pointed us in the direction of 211. And interestingly enough, we knew about 211. We knew it was a fabulous service that was being offered in the community. But I think what really grabbed me is the fact that when I found out approximately 40% of the inquiries that come into 211 are housing related. And I was like, wow, I can really wrap our team around that concept because housing affordability is so important to us, right? But then, John, I just want to underscore something else that grabbed us, and that was the innovative approach that 211 is using. The work that you guys have done with Minnesota Housing to really create a consistent process that's easy for people who are no doubt in a challenging situation, right? It just really, all arrows pointed in the direction that we should support 211. It responds to our desire to ensure that people remained housed. You know, those people that are facing evictions or foreclosures, this is a place that they can call and get help. And in addition to that, people who do find themselves homeless, this is an opportunity for them to be rapidly rehoused, which is another focus that we have. And so 211 just seemed like a natural fit between Wells Fargo and Greater Twin Cities United Way.
So Patty, I really appreciate those comments for a couple of reasons. I like hearing your story about your commitment to 211 and to housing. The other part I really like about your story is when you said I wanted to think about how we could be more impactful, and so with our Gift to United Way, and you called and engaged in a conversation, and really we advanced our relationship, we advanced our partnership by having that dialogue and working together on how to be impactful. So we'd like to work with everybody the way we work with Wells Fargo. So thank you for telling that story and allowing us to talk about that as well. And your gift has been impactful. There's no doubt. You know that the gift from Wells Fargo helped us to create momentum and put us in a position to be responsive to some of the real needs in our community. Including you talked about Minnesota Housing and the rent helpline, and we've also been able to build on 211 to now do the state suicide prevention helpline. When you look at that, we've been able to hire more callers. In 2018, we had 30 callers. Today, we have nearly 100 people working in our various helpline desks. Taking calls on a variety of topics. We're partnering with state and local government. We're really creating connections with people to resources. And all of that has helped us evolve into a 211 that is, like you wanted, Patty, the most impactful I think we've ever been. So thank you for that. You talked about housing a little bit, and housing is really, I think of housing as foundational. You know, it's really hard to achieve a lot of the other things you're trying to achieve, whether it is job stability or other types of family stability, if you don't bring stable housing to the equation. So I'd be interested in hearing from both of you why you think housing stability is so important for a healthy community.
So what I will say about housing, you know, at Wells Fargo, we recognize that if you want a resident to be successful, they have to have stable housing. And I think if there's one thing that we've learned is that keeping people in their existing housing situation is really important. The minute someone falls into homelessness, we know that there's a whole domino effect of challenges that they face, everything from job loss to, you know, chronic illness, disease, and even death. And when you think about housing, it's something that really is, as you said, John, foundational. It's a basic need that people have. And so for us, you know, the work that 211 is doing is so important because we're mitigating issues before they happen. We're helping people get to the resources they need to remain in their existing housing situation.
I just want to reinforce something you said because it's so important. It is so much better, so much more effective, so much more efficient to keep people in their homes
Yeah.
instead of being in a situation where you have to rehouse people. That is so disruptive. And so, I just want to drive that point one more time. James, how about you?
Well, when I think about housing and I think about our imperative as United Way, we have this imperative to create prosperity and equity for all, right? And you cannot do that without housing. Housing is fundamental to that, to prosperity. And so when I think about the work of our team and over the course of this past year, we've supported, you know, 380,000 calls. And behind every one of those calls is a person, right? The person who's reaching out because they're struggling with housing, they're experiencing housing instability. And then the other person on the other side of the phone, our staff person, who listens with empathy, listens with care, tries their best to get the person connected. And I think really that's what it's all about. Even though there's these big numbers, right? It's still that person to person, human connection, really supporting someone in their time of need. Again, towards that end goal of staying housed, finding a place to stay tonight, or keeping your home, right? And so, really, towards that end goal of prosperity and community health, stability.
Yeah. So today, James, it's 30 degrees out, so it's warm. Okay. 2 days ago, 2 days ago, we didn't get above zero. Okay. And so when you think about this time of year, with the special weather and other challenges that Minnesota presents us with, how can 211 be a valuable resource to people in the greater Twin Cities area?
Absolutely. So this time of year in particular, we know there are a few different challenges. For those who don't have a place to stay at night, it's dangerous. It's literally dangerous, right, to be outside in some of these temperatures. And so we work with different partners to provide support to folks who need to find a place to stay. Um, we work with partners such as Hennepin County, folks in Ramsey County to get someone a warm, safe place. In addition, this time of year when it's cold out, the other need that people experience, in addition to paying their rent, utility bills go up, and utility bills go up, and paychecks don't necessarily go up. And so, as folks encounter that need, we connect literally thousands of people to utility assistance to help them pay those bills. And utilities are very connected to housing, right? So connected in a sense of you can be evicted if you don't pay your utility bills, and so that is a different way that we support housing stability. Especially this time of year.
Yep. So James, one of the things people frequently ask me is how how do people know about 211? Okay. And how do we get that word out there more? And I'd be interested in hearing either of you's thoughts about that. Part of it is us telling people, and we're doing a number of things about that. One of the things I get comfort from is when I am talking with what I call practitioners, okay, people who work in this area, people who work in the schools, social workers, nonprofit people, they all know about 211. Okay. But what else could we be asking people to do to help us get the word out?
Absolutely. So, we, through our partnerships, we've been able to increase awareness. Last year, Wells Fargo helped us with an ad campaign with Metro Transit, and that was a great way to increase our awareness. We've also gained awareness through our partnerships with Minnesota Housing, partnerships with the various counties throughout the state. Tell people where people seek services, right? Because we are there to help both individuals seeking services for themselves, but also we get a fair number of calls from folks in the helping professions, right? Social workers, teachers, nurses, because they're encountering people who have social services needs and questions.
So we're here, we're continuing through a pandemic. We live in a community where we know we have a lack of affordable housing, which drives a lot of these housing needs. So in many respects, it is a challenging environment. Um, but I would be interested in hearing from both of you, and we can start with you, Patty, that in this environment, what gives you hope?
Well, John, that's a really great question. And we've been through 2 very challenging years. I think we all would agree we could not have seen what was coming. But for me, it's the collaborations and the partnerships that all of the challenges have driven us to. And so it's kind of the lemonade out of the lemons, right? I think we've had, issues around racial and social equity, and I think that has caused us to have really tough discussions. But what it's also encouraged is this bigger environment of everyone coming together and talking openly about issues and about what people hope for and what they're focused on. And then how do we leverage those resources? How do we bring people together to work for the common good and to work on consistent approaches versus all of us going off and doing our own individual things? I think what's really become extremely valuable over the last year for sure is the working together and that collaborative approach in our communities.
James, how about you?
I think similarly, what gives me hope is through these past couple of years, we've started problem solving together in new ways and very creatively, and in ways that we might not have thought was possible before. And that really gives me hope, because we're seeing that we really can dig in and create solutions. And then the other thing that gives me hope is that in these conversations that I have with staff, in these conversations that I listen to, calls, people genuinely care about their families, about their neighbors, about our state. And that gives me hope, because it is rare to encounter a call where there is not someone with a really big heart on that call.
Patty, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your commitment to Greater Twin Cities United Way and to the community. And thanks, Wells Fargo, for the great partnership that we have. James, thank you for your leadership that you show every single day as we continue to bring the resources of 211 to our community in new and different and better ways. And thanks to both of you for being change makers.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Patty.